What am I even doing here?
Come on, Jake. Please cooperate. I'll go buy you pizza tonight. Give me the gun.
My name is Jeremy Rogers, and I have an emotional disorder.
Hey, I'm Jesse Rogers, and Jeremy is my younger brother. I'm his oldest sister for about 5 years, and he has an emotional behavior disorder. When I first found out about this disorder, I read about it in The Inclusive Classroom by Mashua Pierre and Scruggs, and it said that this disorder is classified by people who have an inability to learn that cannot be explained by intellectual, sensory, or health factors. It's an inability to build or maintain interpersonal relationships with peers or teachers, and there's inappropriate types of behavior that can occur if feeling under, when under normal circumstances, if he behaves out of the ordinary, and having moods of unhappiness or depression, and also a tendency to develop physical symptoms or of fears and personal or school problems.
Generally, Jeremy is relatively well behaved, but then he has his bad days where he doesn't want to listen to what we're doing in class. He interrupts and bothers some of his classmates, even to the point of throwing things around and storming out of class and not coming back.
As for my brother, he has a really hard time trying to keep stable relationships. He likes to beat up on people, even his friends. Him and I used to always fight all the time. I mean, always when we were younger. And I notice from what he says to me after he comes from school that he hates most of his teachers. He always feels like they're trying to fail him or trying to get him into trouble, and that everybody's just after him, and he gets kind of paranoid. Like, he thinks that people are watching him and the cops are watching him from afar and keeping an eye out on him, and it's just whenever he gets frustrated, one little thing and it's like setting off a trigger to a bomb.
Teachers say that I act out in class. Some people think I'm funny. Other people tell me to shut up, but they can all suck it. I just do whatever I want.
Jeremy has a especially hard time when we're moving into new material in class, something unfamiliar. So his unfamiliarity with the new material information, sometimes he gets a little frustrated that he's not learning quickly enough, and that often leads to some of his disruptions of class. What I do most of the time when we are approaching new material in class is that after giving my lecture or explanation to the class, I have one of my educational assistants work with Jeremy on the side to answer any kind of questions he may have with understanding of instructions or learning of the new materials. Then I would work together with the educational assistant, and I'd work with Jeremy for a set time during class time, maybe 10-15 minutes on the side, to make sure that he understands and that he's on task with the assignment in class.
Teachers say I'm disrespectful. They kick me out of class or give me detention or write me referrals, get me suspended. Bullshit. Except for Mr. K, Mr. Cotto.
Our history class, the students all fill out a contract with me for the duties that they'll be expected to complete during the school semester, which would also list and detail a set of behavior standards that we would have to observe in class. That is, no disruption of class, considerate and respectful behavior towards classmates, so that it would be a good learning environment for them. After the first outbursts that from Jeremy during the first weeks of class, I found out about his behavioral disorder, his emotional behavior disorder, and I had to modify his contract somewhat, because if he had continued on this conduct, the type of conduct, his behavior in class, he would not successfully pass the class. So I had to adjust it. I had to alter our contract so that it would better fit his special needs, I guess, for class discipline and behavior. The contract between Jeremy and I was specially adapted to fit his own situation in the classroom, whereas a minor infraction of one of our rules in class might just get a reprimand, scolding in class. Jeremy had a set parameter of classroom infractions, whereas the more severe his reaction in class or disruption, he would have these set of consequences which he would be aware of. So I try to get him to know that any behavior of his, whether good or bad, would have a consequence to it.
But I didn't care. Still did whatever the fuck I wanted. Barely even went home. Not like anyone was there. My dad was always at work. My sister went off to college. They don't care about me.
Sometimes I think he feels that I'm the only one that is for him, but that's not true. There's a lot of people that are out there that helps him. I mean, it may not be our parents, but he needs to realize that his teachers are there to help him, but he just has a really hard time trusting other people. He can't, tell them any personal things about him because he'll be like, well, this guy's going to think bad about me, or this lady's going to be like, think I'm crazy.
Working with Jeremy in the beginning was a tricky balancing act, whereas I couldn't give Jeremy too much attention that would bring the attention of others to him and even ridicule, or that would also come across, I guess, as insincere. Jeremy has a difficulty, I guess, trusting that we have his best interests in mind when we're working with him, and sometimes he takes it as a threat from an authority figure. I think when Jeremy sees that I am working with equal attention with the other students, and I also look at him as he is also a part of that group, I guess he comes to realize that I'm not doing it because it's my job. I'm not giving him attention because he's stupid or strange. Is that because I'm looking out for his success in class, and I'm also trying to work with him in order to get that success in class as well as his life outside.
Yeah, my first fucking year in high school, I got in so much trouble, I just did everyone a favor and dropped out. Don't regret it, I just did whatever I wanted. Fucking skated anywhere, partied, whatever, did anything. It's fucking awesome. I guess I do regret disappointing my sister, but that was just too fucking hard. Oh, and one time, I always used to steal alcohol from Long's because it was fucking easy. But one time I slipped up and got caught. My dad was so pissed at me when he picked me up from the police station, gave me 30 lickings.
Pretty much since I ever remember, my parents have been fighting a lot right in front of me and my brother, and we would just always have each other in those moments. And as we got older, their arguments increased, and my brother just started not listening to anybody, and my dad would give him dirty lickings. Like one time, I don't know what my brother did, he just didn't listen to him, but my dad made him strip off all his clothes butt naked, and he started giving him lickings with the hose, and then I ran away and just started crying for him because I couldn't do anything. And so yeah, my mom, she never gave us lickings, but whenever we would go off with her, she would go to a friend's house, and yeah, she liked to smoke both cigarettes, and as my brother and I got older, she was also smoking weed. And we remember her doing that, and whenever we would come into the room and she was smoking weed, she would yell at us and get out, swear at us.
Well, that summer when my sister came home, she was pretty pissed at me. But she's really good to me, though. She's the only one who even understands me. But she's just too perfect. So everyone expects her to do so good. Not me. No one even cares about me except for her. She's the only one who helped me get back into school or find any help. Not my dad. I guess he tries to help, but I don't even see a point in listening to him. He's always working.
And as the years went on, her I guess drug addiction escalated to doing crystal methamphetamine, and her and my dad separated for the first time, but they still argued. Like, I don't know, for some reasons my mom would always come around and they'd still fight. And I remember one time my brother, he had a cast from playing soccer or something, and he saw them fighting and he just started hitting my mom with their cast and couldn't do anything about it. But that was pretty much like one of the first times that he got super aggressive.
My mom? Why are you asking about my mom? Who the fuck knows what she's doing? She be dead. Fuck care. Fuck her. Don't ask me about that. Fuck this. I'm out of here.
Okay, Jared, please wait. No, stop.
Fine, Jesse. I guess some people do help me, but it's just so hard. Like, nobody can take me seriously when I actually need help. Except for Mr. Cotto.
Jeremy would sometimes storm out of class if he had felt that he was incapable of doing the work, or if maybe his classmates kind of ridiculed him or made fun of him that he couldn't learn the new material. So one time when he left the class, he came back to my room after 3:30 in the afternoon, when there was just myself sitting there correcting papers, and he came to apologize for his behavior that day. So we sat down and we talked about, okay, these are going to be the consequences for your actions for this time of leaving class, and we're going to have to work out a special time when you come in to catch up work on those kinds of incidents when you leave the class, so that he can still keep up with classwork. So I told him I'll be willing to meet with him after school hours, so that nobody would see him coming in to be getting extra help, and we would reinforce the things that he was learning in class.
After my parents separated, they came back and they had my little sister, and she is about 8 years younger than my brother. So yeah, it was all good, but I guess my mom started doing drugs again, and one day it was just me and my brother at home with my sister, and my dad was working, and my mom was, I don't know, maybe working or off doing her own thing. But yeah, it was just me and him at home, and we got into our usual fights, and then I don't know what I said, but he busted out my dad's gun and pointed it at both me and my sister, and it was just, I didn't know what to do. So that's when I kind of started reading about it, and so that I could help my brother, because I didn't want him to be like that when he gets older. So yeah, I talked to my brother and made him put down the gun and told him why, that it was endangering both me, my sister, and him. So he listened to me and he apologized. But I wanted to know more about this, so I looked online and I saw ways to improve the behavior of students with emotional or behavior disorders, and it's by Lee Kern and Linda Bambara. They're saying how it's good for them to just separate them from the situation and make sure that they know what's happening, because they don't think about their consequences. They just act without thinking, not like it affects anybody else.
At the completion of our first study session, Jeremy asked me, almost shyly, he asked me, Mr. K, you must hate me that you have to come and stay here late after school to work with me because of my behavior. And I looked at Jeremy and I told him, no, I don't hate you for this, and actually it's part of my job. And I remember a time when I was in high school and I needed some extra time from teachers, because I used to be kind of a bad student sometimes, and they gave me the extra opportunity to catch up with class. So I'm also going to give you that opportunity. And I guess it's from that time that I guess Jeremy saw that I wasn't there just because it's a job. I wasn't there because I was told to do it, but I was there because I wanted to see him succeed in what he does, and that I cared that he succeed, and I was there willing to teach him how to succeed.
My parents didn't really call me that much when I was off in college. just doing their own thing. My mom went to jail first and then to rehab, and now she's like in the mainland trying to get her stuff back together. And my dad's just working and trying to raise his kids the way he wants to. But my brother just never listened to him. So when I came back for the summer of college, I found out that my brother was on probation for stealing alcohol and smoking weed, and that he dropped out of school. So I was like really disappointed in him and had a long talk of how he wants to end up in the future. That kind of really made him change his mind on what he's actually doing.
I didn't adjust the curriculum of the class per se to meet his needs. However, what I found was that Jeremy started to come in regularly, whether he was for some class rule infraction or not. And he started to come regularly to just keep up with the work in class. So in that way, I adjusted a special curriculum, I guess, for Jeremy after school. So if the educational assistant was there, she would also help with tutoring Jeremy, and we would offer him alternative perspectives of the class assignments and lessons, where we could adjust the assignment to his own interests, personal interests in his own life, and to see also how it was related to what we're doing in class. So Jeremy likes to draw. A lot of students that don't like classwork draw when they're not doing the classwork. So Jeremy liked to do art projects, so we would have him do art projects that would be keeping with the current lessons in class, and look at how you could also portray concepts of history through art and through visual presentations. What I found interesting was Jeremy started to see that there's more than one way to look at something and to learn something, and he also started to also enjoy and be able to learn from different perspectives as well. So I could see a different Jeremy in class when he's with his classmates, that he was more willing to learn the way that they were learning, and he could also appreciate the way that he learned, and saw that it was not something that made him inferior, but it just made him another asset to the class and his classmates. So the classmates also felt a different Jeremy, and they started to interact a little more positively instead of the previous weeks of class. I mean, once in a while Jeremy still has his bouts with frustration, but I think he's steadily learning how to deal with that and how to make it a more productive and positive outcome in his studies.
So yeah, my brother's anger and aggression just keeps increasing, but now since he's going back into school, he has a really good teacher that keeps him under control, and he's got counselors that he can talk to whenever I'm not there. He's starting to realize that he does have a support system, and that there are many people that are willing to help him. And I think his next step is to try to find forgiveness towards my parents, and that they're trying to do the best thing that they could, but they couldn't at the time. And I think that's what he needs to realize, and then he'd be all good.
Maybe if there were more teachers like Mr. Cotto or like my sister, then maybe students like me would do better in school, or maybe even like school. But whatever. I'm tired of talking this shit, so this is over. Bye.